Welcome to I Love This Thing So Freaking Much, a podcast about passion. My name is Sophie Katz, and today I am joined by Ben, an engineer. Welcome to the show, Ben.
Hey, Sophie, thanks for having me on.
Oh, thanks for being here. So, here's how this works. Ben will have 3 minutes to talk about something that he loves. This can be a person, place, thing, concept, activity, anything he wants. Our only requirement is that he loves it wholeheartedly and wants to tell us why. Are you ready, Ben?
I think so.
Good. Got my timer here. Now, what do you love so freaking much?
I love disc golf so freaking much. For anyone who doesn't know, disc golf is a sport where you take frisbee and you throw it into, we call it a basket. It's basically a contraption where you have hanging chains and it catches the frisbee when you throw it at it, or hopefully it does at least. Basically, disc golf is like golf. You're trying to complete your hole in as few throws as possible, and then you play 18 holes, and that's your round. I really love disc golf, mostly because it is a really good way for me to get outdoors and get an activity going that lets me relax, lets me have fun, and also get some competitive energy out. I've been playing for about 5 years now, and it's really kind of taken over pretty much all of my free time. At least whenever it's not raining or snowing outside, I'm going to be outside playing. It's a great way to get into the woods, into nature, and just have fun at the same time. What else can I say about disc golf? It's a good way to meet friends. I've made a lot of basically my closest friends playing disc golf over the last couple of years and connecting with people. And I've also gone on a couple good adventures with friends, especially back in college, going to play tournaments with the team that I was a part of there and getting involved with my family. Every time we go on vacation, I play with them. They might not like it quite as much as I do, but it's always a good time. Disc golf has really helped me kind of find a focus for my activity. I started playing Ultimate at a young age, Ultimate Frisbee, and fell out of love with that in college. And disc golf gave me a new way to kind of get my competitive energy out and get activity and enjoy being outdoors and enjoy just having something to do, basically. And it's kind of been my obsession since then.
That's great. Thank you for telling us about disc golf today.
Yeah, thank you.
So, how did you first get interested in disc golf?
Well, I guess I should start with I always grew up throwing frisbees, like kind of what you would think of as a traditional frisbee is like an ultimate disc,
Mm-hmm.
the big kind of white saucer that you throw around. I had two uncles who were both very into ultimate frisbee. So that's kind of how I got into frisbee games in general. And from there, I kind of wanted to play ultimate. It's kind of like soccer with a frisbee. You're running around a lot and throwing it. I first played disc golf, I think, once or twice in like middle school. We had like a camp activity for it, but I didn't really get hooked then. And then in college, I wanted to join the ultimate team. They had workouts from like 9 to midnight over the winter. And I said, I really don't want to do that. And then I found disc golf that summer and into the following semester. And it was a better way for me to be able to see the flight of a frisbee in a way that I knew I loved from a young age, but also in a better athletic space for me where I didn't have to run for 90 minutes straight.
And didn't have practice from 9 to midnight.
Exactly. That also helped.
Yeah, it occurred to me while you were talking that frisbee is, at least where I grew up, a very common kid activity, but it's a very directionless activity. You're just throwing the frisbee, but this is like frisbee with direction.
Yeah, definitely. So I like to think of frisbee as, most often you're kind of like playing catch or something like that with friends. And disc golf is like that, except for, yeah, like you said, you have a more kind of defined target and goal. So it's like almost a competitive version of catch like that.
Can you talk a little more about the similarities or differences between disc golf and regular golf?
The main point that's different is in regular golf, you have, your ball and your club, and your club is more what's determining the distance that you're hitting a ball and, how you can control the direction and the spin on it. In disc golf, the disc itself is both the ball and the club. In your bag, you're going to carry with you a bag with a bunch of different discs in it, and you have discs that do different things. So I have discs that'll go left or they'll go right, they'll go farther or they'll go shorter. And depending on how I throw them, I can kind of manipulate the shapes that they'll fly and the direction that they'll fly. So overall, the idea is the same, but I would say the execution of that idea, get to your target, varies a lot more in disc golf. And especially it lets you do things that you can't do in golf. Like I've only recently started playing golf, ball golf, as we call it in the disc golf community. In disc golf, you're going through the woods, you're cutting corners, trying to weave in between trees. It's a lot more Well, one, it's a lot more eco-friendly where you don't have to clear huge swaths and use tons of water to maintain a course. But
Mm-hmm.
it's also, it kind of makes you think a lot more about the path of your object in flight as opposed to just trying to hit a spot however far in front of you.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of strategy involved beyond the irregular golf concerns of, am I gonna get stuck in the sand trap? It's you're getting to choose your weapon, choose your disc, and also choose how you throw it.
Yeah, definitely.
Tell me a little more about the friends you've made because of disc golf.
Absolutely. So, like I said, I've mostly been playing pretty much since college, and I have, I guess I would say, three sets of friend groups that I've made or been a part of since joining this community. I have, I guess I should start with my group back home. Shout out to the Mercer County Disc Golf Club in New Jersey. We have a pretty tight knit group. I have a buddy who is a guy I would have never met. Turns out he lives 5 minutes from my house where I grew up with my parents. I think he's in his 60s or something like that. And he ran the league that I was a part of back home when I played. And I met him at the league that he was running. Eventually, we started just playing kind of casual rounds together. And now I've played hundreds of rounds with him. And I play with him every time I get back home. We bond over disc golf, over other sports, over, just kind of whatever's going on in life. A guy I would have never met outside of disc golf. So that's the home area of it. And then there was also the college side of it. So I started out as communications chair or secretary for the Illinois Disc Golf Club. I eventually was the VP of the club for 2 years. And through that, made great friends, a couple really close friends still to this day, 3 years out of college. We traveled to the national championships and then obviously a bunch of other tournaments, around kind of the Midwest with a group of like 6 or 7 guys most of the time, staying in Airbnbs, going out and playing disc golf. There was a day where we had 2 rounds in a tournament, but these maniacs decided that they wanted to play a full round of warm up before. So we got to the course at like 7:30 in the morning, played a full round of disc golf, 2 tournament rounds, and then a round after, and then had like a 7 hour drive home the next morning. So you could say we're pretty into disc golf. It's been a good time. And then now, kind of where I am out of school, my couple of closest friends have been through the disc golf community. It's how I've met them and just became friends playing and, eventually going and hanging out outside of playing and stuff like that.
Is there anything that you don't like about disc golf? And if so, how do you handle that?
I would say that there are a couple things that I don't like. Firstly, on the mental side, the competitive side, I am a pretty competitive person in terms of sports and activities that I do. So it's really frustrating when you can throw a shot well and you don't execute it, or
Mm-hmm.
there's inconsistency in your game and you're not feeling good on a day and you play around and you don't shoot what you think you should shoot, or it's like golf or like any other sport, really. If you're not playing as well as you think you should, it can be very, very frustrating. So obviously that's hard, and you have to have kind of a mental toughness and a mental game plan to try to combat that. Another aspect of disc golf that I would say I don't like, I guess, is there's two main camps in terms of demographics of people who play disc golf. You have kind of what you would think of maybe as like people throwing frisbees in a park, of like hippies and stuff like that. But you also have a lot of people on the right conservative side, which for me personally isn't really my vibe. It's very, very predominantly white and male. So there's not a lot of diversity within that group of people who play. So I guess you can't force diversity into a group of people who play, but it's something that's kind of concerning or not ideal about the sport.
Especially since this seems like such an accessible sport. How expensive is a set of disc golf discs?
It's not too expensive. You can get like a starter set for probably $30 or something like that. It's not too expensive. It can get expensive if you are like me and obsess over it. And I'm looking over at my racks of discs over here in my room, but it doesn't have to be. The vast majority of courses are free in public parks. But I think part of that problem comes from most courses being kind of out in the rural side of things. So for example, my sister lives in New York City. There's like 1 or 2 courses within an hour of New York City. But here, kind of in the middle of nowhere, Illinois, we have 8 courses within half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting kind of mix of available space versus population centers that I guess kind of leads to that predominantly white and maybe higher than expected kind of conservative lean in the community.
Yeah, well, as always, accessibility is a multifaceted thing. Is there a disc golf course nearby where you can get to it? How much time are you going to have to spend getting to it? And then do you know that it exists? Are you welcomed there? Are you invited there?
Yeah,
All these different factors playing in.
it's a complicated issue. And I know that there are people in the disc golf community. The PDGA is kind of like the governing body of disc golf. They have initiatives to try to increase diversity, but it's just an aspect that we, as a community, trying to expand upon, I guess.
Do you have any tips for someone who might be listening to this podcast and thinking, oh, I've never heard of this. How do I get into disc golf?
I linked to you a disc golf YouTube channel. So if you're interested in actually seeing people, throw discs, these are the professionals. It's a Jomez Pro at YouTube. If you want to just kind of get a better idea of what disc golf is, I would definitely just go and check out some of their coverage that they have of professional tournaments. Outside of that, you can probably just Google disc golf course near me, and it should pop up with whatever park has a course nearby you. I guarantee there's something not too far away. And then any sports store should have a little starter set of discs if you want to try it out.
Ben, thank you so much for telling us about something you love today.
Thanks so much for having me on, Sophie.
And thank you, our listeners, for tuning in today. If you would like to learn more about disc golf, you can find a link to the Jomez Pro YouTube channel in the episode description. And if you have something you love so freaking much you want to tell me all about it, consider this your invitation to join the show. I Love This Thing So Freaking Much is a production of Through the Window Media. This episode was directed and edited by Sophie A. Katz. You can find us at Through the Window on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Tumblr. That is THROU The Window at all those social media sites. Be good to yourself, be kind to each other, and you'll hear from us again soon.